Well, I don't know what you were doing. I think you just seen us down there.
That's usually if I ever
You
get a
come down and
headache.
talk to me, or I don't know, me, whoever was listening to me, you just
Kind
come
of a
down and say,
normal
what's
dose
this
for me.
Like I say, just kind of what has you on the place. Well, anything I can help you with?
And normally I don't ever take pain reliever, I never get headache.
So that all.
Yeah, you can see that right there is the end of the clavicle, where it's supposed to touch the, it's taped down. Seth's done a good job of cranking that thing down, getting it taped. And I said, you'll always have, a little bit of lump there. They said that that's an option,
I didn't go look at that.
but both Clark and Hirsch said he did his in like 84 or 86 when he was still studying in the Mayo Clinic. He said, I did all kinds of research when I did mine to see if I wanted to have surgery.
Some of the people.
Said, I'd like you not to because there's a lot of muscles right here that they've got to go through to get to that clavicle to zap it down. And he said, it was kind of a 50-50 on whether or not it was going to do or not do what you hoped. And he said, to me, the odds weren't
So
so
they'll
good, so I
stay
just
through
elected
for a
not
while
to
until
do
they
it.
get
Clark said the same thing.
Okay,
He
it's
said,
fixed.
there's good surgeons out there, don't get me wrong, and they probably do it, but it wasn't worth the risk.
The stock market, they start making payments off the interest.
Wow.
The only way that would help you get most is if you actually put it in.
I put it back.
But you're gonna be kind of hurt when it's gonna go down.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't yet, but I mean, I can see in a matter of 2 months,
Here's a
when things
copy
start
of the
coming back up,
resolution.
with everything you got. you just have-
You know, I usually do a pretty good job remembering to put this on Do Not Disturb. But I suck at remembering to take Do Not Disturb off.
I'm the only one in here that's practicing social distancing.
I'm 3 feet. 6 feet, 6 feet, 6 feet.
Oh, is it 6?
I don't know.
3.
No, 6.
Patty Kirkwood carries a yardstick.
Either way to do it.
He's got his tape measure.
I'm surprised he doesn't have that laser one.
Well,
Sits you and hits you right in the chest with the beam and says, okay, that's 7 feet.
you hate to do that in certain companies, people get nervous.
Well, Patty ran into Golda Vaughn
Oh.
at Safeway, and Golda explained to her that she needed to holster up, honey. She just said, holster up, holster up.
I tried to develop a Pope mobile I could go around in, but too expensive.
Yeah. Plexiglass is pretty expensive now.
Getting oxygen in there.
Get one of those big balls that you get inside and everybody running around.
Ready?
Yep. Thing to work.
Okay, I'll call the special meeting of the City Council for March 23rd, 2020 to order. Dan, lead us in a pledge, please.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The one and only item on the agenda is the emergency resolution of the City Council. This is to enact measures to reduce the spread of the novel coronavirus, COVID-19. I had Jim do a lot to help write this up for us. Of course, all of it's open to you guys on how you want to change, but if you read through the documents under the now therefore be it ordained, there's dates in that. If you guys have a problem, I put a number in there, but if you guys have a problem, the other line is kind of supposed to represent if somebody you want to look into, we can change the number or whatever people deem as we should. So
I move to accept.
Second.
it's It's been moved by Don, seconded by Dan. Discussion.
Mr. Mayor, on section 7, does that line up with what the federal government's recommendations are?
I believe it does, doesn't it, Jim? That they just passed, that actually passed.
Yeah, that act is passed. I'm not quite sure yet how that's gonna settle out, because I don't think it's been codified into the statutes yet, because it's relatively new. But all that section 7 says that if that federal legislation were to provide more protection than what the city is proposing, then the federal legislation would control.
Yeah, and I believe the federal legislation is for more than 80 hours, that's why I asked.
It may be, Don, I'm sorry.
So I didn't know if that was something we wanted to update before we went with this or not.
It's possible we could do that if that's, if you'd like to make the correction.
I think it's 3 months.
3 months.
Well, it's a two-stage thing, the last article. So it was for yourself, I think, was one thing, and then it was going to be family leave.
That was that's a second step to that, right?
Which was the 3 months.
So,
Yeah.
the way this is written, it'll cover it, so I don't think there's any real need to change it, to be honest. If we want to update it, that was fine. If we don't, let's just run with it.
Okay.
That'll be my recommendation anyway.
And what this does also is the feds, I don't know if it was in this law here, but the feds actually opened FEMA up with a bunch of funding, but you gotta have a resolution or an ordinance out there that the city has declared an emergency.
Mhm.
Then you can file for any costs that we have occurred. Oh, yeah, occurs, not the what's the word?
Incurred.
Incurred.
Mhm.
Then you can actually file with them. I don't know if you'll get the full amount back, but you'll get a good chunk of it.
Yeah.
So, now this opens that up too. So we're keeping track of any money that we're having to do because of this. And so far, there's already been a couple on this. I know one dead body. And I don't think the other one was in the city, so it's not us. But we had one, and the coroner was nervous and said that it should be marked as possible. So we had to quarantine the evidence and all that for an unattended death. I don't know who it was. So we had to rent a trailer or something like that we can lock. Then we can put in all by itself because it could be infectious. So.
I guess towards that, I know that's on the agenda for this next cemetery meeting, whenever that happens to occur, but we may have to look into cremation for any flu-type deaths that occur, just to avoid any potential contamination of groundwater, if that is actually something that we consider. One thing that did show up last Saturday on the CDC website was that in Italy, more people died of this virus than we have total cases in the U.S.
Yes.
That's a pretty sobering number. I didn't realize it was that expansive. And Spain wasn't far behind.
Spain was catching, and I really think, I don't know who likes it, don't like, doesn't matter. But I think Trump really has protected the United States by putting that travel ban.
Yeah.
That really has, I think, lowered our possibilities. Still can go up though,
Mm-hmm.
if everybody doesn't properly handle, and that's what kind of this is about. Trying to properly handle, trying to minimize the exposure, which then minimizes the risk.
And this seems to take care of the city employees as well,
Yes.
which is a concern of mine. I know if we have to go to skeleton crews, what you may consider, Mayor, I just put this out as an idea, is to have more different shifts,
Yeah.
day and night, for example, if that's potentially possible. That's just a thought.
Understood. Got it.
Mr. Mayor, I have a couple questions. The first one is about having, I understand the rationale for continuing with the Finance Committee to continue meeting. I do not understand the rationale behind having the planning board continue meeting as opposed to having street and alley meet. I know that there are, in subdivision law, there are certain guide points that you have to meet, but I believe, and Mr. Dillon probably could answer this question, that when the governor has stated that we have a state emergency, those guide points stop.
I don't think so.
Not so.
No.
They don't?
No, but I was gonna address this separately at the end of the resolution, but I'll address it now since the window's been opened. And that is that I received an email this morning from Kelly Lynch, and they're exploring a request to Governor Bullock to toll the statutory deadline. So in other words, if a subdivision proposal was made, that it tolls the 60-day review period or whatever the deadline is, but that needs to come from the governor.
By toll, you mean extend, Jim?
Yes, exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah, and other people have that problem that are probably have busier planning boards maybe than we do.
Mhm.
So I think that's why it's mentioned here. And I think they're recognizing that, you can't hold a public meeting like you used to.
Yeah.
And in the manner in which you used to be able to do as well.
Mhm.
They're also looking into working or submitting some information to the Attorney General's office to see if they will, give imprimatur to a alternate way to hold a public meeting consistent with the open meeting laws. In other words, can you do this by video? If so, how? All of those types of things are all untested. So we're just trying to keep people out of trouble and get business done as well. That's the fine line I think everybody's walking right now. So.
Okay.
And the only reason for the planning board was mainly because of time limits. But what we're really gonna try to do is not have one. If there's any time limits getting close, we was gonna talk to the people, and if both agree, us and them, to extend it, then we're okay. We'll just keep extending to the point until they say, okay, now the period stops, I need your decision. Then we'd probably have to call a planning board meeting, or let them have it, whatever.
Great. Because that leads into my second question, is that looking at the provisions that have been made for people who would like to come to those meetings, it doesn't seem to me that somebody being in another part of the building or even in another building and watching the planning board meeting, and then if they wanted to make comment, it isn't written in here. I thought, well, maybe they'll phone in or whatever.
That's exactly the problem.
Yeah,
Exactly
yeah.
the problem, because
Yeah.
the Constitution says you have the right to participate.
Right.
And I mean, somebody with internet access has a more meaningful right to participate than somebody without.
Doesn't.
And so what's the fine line there?
Mhm.
And that's what's untested, Mary Jo, so.
Yeah.
good
The
luck.
other,
Yeah.
excuse me, the other part that's not been tested is, let's say we all set up another room for them. Well, right there, we're actually breaking the rules also, because
Yeah.
we're making everybody go into another room. Maybe it's protecting the council, but not them.
Right.
So they all are forced to get together also, and to me, there's no answer on that.
It's a thorny issue, but it
And none of us know what to do about it either.
I know, I should have started out with, I just understand that this is 9/11 every single day, I mean, my relatives in New York City, that's how they describe life, is that it's 9/11 every single day, and there's no end in sight. And that reverberates out to here too, and everything's uncharted. And I want to thank you for everything you're doing, getting through this. I wish I had a great idea. I mean, I have thought about it since Stacy sent out the packet of how could we do it. I mean, I've seen incredible meetings, you know, technologically driven meetings. I mean, I got to see a Steve Jobs meeting one time. You know, he wasn't there, but he was there life-size. But we don't have that here.
You'd have to use something like a GoToMeeting app or a Skype type app, so you have two-way conversation, constant two-way conversation.
Yeah, but even now, you're putting a restriction, somebody has to have access to the internet.
Yeah.
That's right.
And libraries close most of the internet stuff unless you have it at home.
Right.
And not everybody at home can Skype.
Mm-hmm.
And everything at the
So-
hospital is being done by Zoom. I mean,
Yeah.
and-
Zoom's the new one now, it's not Skype, it's Zoom.
yeah, Zoom. But it still is not, you know, it's
It's
still,
not the same as face-to-face.
Yeah.
Oh.
And there's a lot of this that goes on.
Ah.
So that's my concern, that everything in here that's written about where the public should go, I would take it out because I think it diminishes the resolution and could possibly, you know, I mean, it just diminishes it because it doesn't really give an answer of how can we hold a truly open meeting. Then my very last thing is that I had sent in a couple of requests that would be resolutions, and I can see that one of them is incorporated into here. The other one was a resolution that would allow you you could sidestep both the committee and the city council to approve any city property or facilities for the distribution of food by other agencies, such as if District 10 asked if they could utilize some city property to distribute lunches or breakfasts. That usually that comes to the Parks Committee and then goes to the City Council for approval. But the resolution I had sent would sidestep that, and during the virus, that the mayor could go ahead and approve all of those requests. Because I believe that there will be other requests for senior commodity boxes possibly to be dispersed from city facilities. And then one other one, is it SNP or SNAP? One of those programs. SNAP, do they distribute food too?
That I couldn't answer.
I get all of these things on Monday morning, and I really didn't read them real well this morning, but it seemed to me that the senior commodity boxes might have to have a different place. And then I presume that you're going to get a call from the school district sooner rather than later.
Oh, on that question, one of the other reasons is I really didn't know any place where we could really do it. Distributing that city property. And the parks, that's pretty cold still. Plus, we do have to be careful again because you only get 5 or more, or 5 or less than 5. And because of that, I'm nervous of doing any groups together. So I'm breaking the rules right now by calling this meeting, but we had to do it, so.
I think that I think that it might be a really good place for them to do it is in the parking lot across from Wells Fargo Bank, that they set up a little trailer there, and they'll bring their trailer down there, and it'll be a drive-through, and they'll hand out.
And I can do that now,
Yeah.
if it's temporary. I can sit there and say temporarily, yeah, you get this little fun. It was just like half a day or something. I don't need council, I don't think, to operate that. Now, if you wanted to give it months and months, then it's probably better to go to the council to agree to that, or very long term, then you gotta get an MOU or something like that.
I
with
think that
council.
it could be that it would be every day for a few months.
Well, then we'd get it together again.
Okay,
If
I
it's
just thought that might
We'd
be
have
a
to
good,
talk and see.
a good clause to add to this one.
Already, I don't know whether you wanna move to school, because they're gonna cook it at the school, they could drive through that drive-through, and someone could go out and hand it to them, why have delivery to something you wouldn't, I mean,
That's
just
what I
adding,
would think
you're
too.
just adding more chaos to what you already have to do. You know, the school's got that thing that goes around in the circle in front of the park, you know, right through the kitchen's right there, they could pack it out, bring it out, pack it right out there, cars could drive through, and,
That's what I would do.
right, I don't know why you'd wanna pack it up and take it someplace.
Well, they're distributing it through the back, not in the front, but through the back right now. In the summer, they've always asked to, they utilize the park and they utilize the Y.
I think that's because the school was closed. Normally in the summer, the school, there is nobody there, but
They
Well, they
use,
use that
they
to
use
cook.
the schools as well,
Yeah.
and they did not use the park house.
Mhm.
But,
And I
But
agree
he-
with Raymond, it'd be a lot smarter, and if they called, I would try to talk to them. That's smarter to go through that, so they don't even have to get out, they can just run and give them the food, minimize exposure at that point.
even if they go through the back door, they got the same issue in the back, they can go right through the parking lot, make a loop and go back out. And
But we talk, if they call, I'll talk.
It's one of these times that it's nice to be out in the boondocks.
Now that we mentioned the parks, I think we ought to make signs up and close all the parks, because it don't really make no sense to send all the little kids home from school. I seen day before yesterday, a bunch of kids in the park over here. I don't know what difference it make if they're in the park, they're from school, they're all gathered in groups more than five, or they're running around touching all the playground equipment, and no one's over there sanitizing nothing. So if one little kid does have it, the next little kid's got it, and
We can make signs up to recommend. Some of them, we could probably lock. Some of them, there's no locking.
you know, but just say, you know, please stay out of the park until further, I mean,
To
again,
do-
quarantines only work if everybody does it.
Right.
You know, if we got special things like happened at the college where someone said, well, I'm too good to stay home, I'm gonna go to the regents meeting anyway, and he affected two people, and then he should have stayed home, and that's what I understand he knew, he should have stayed home, but he just didn't want to miss the meeting.
I don't think Dr. Christian thought that he would be infecting lots of people with a deadly virus. But
He didn't follow the rules
Right,
either.
exactly.
The rules say if you went over, this was set up before he left. Say you went over to Europe, which is an infected area, and you come back, they can't say not that you're supposed to self-quarantine for 14 days. He didn't.
Right.
And by that fact alone, he infected other people there
Well, we affected two,
for 3.
okay.
Oh, 2 weeks, yeah, for total 3.
I hope that the council would consider not putting up signs in the parks. I think that there's lots of families. I've been out walking every single day, twice a day, and I keep the correct distance between people. But I've seen lots and lots of families out walking, and everybody keeps their distance, but they being able to walk around the park makes it tolerable, and we need to create environments whereby people can obey the rules and not make it harder for them.
And I kind of believe why it is the flu and all these other infectious diseases happen more often in the winter is because when you're in an enclosed area, there is no breeze. You know, so whatever I speak, it's going to keep traveling towards that person, you know, unless you have some air flowing around. Yeah. It's probably, you know, but out in the park, it's always with breeze, so it's going to be moving around, even going up and going around. It's more minimal, not that the exposure's not there. So they're all rolling around, one kid's infected, and they just go out there and they're rolling around in the park and playing, and chances are they're all gonna get infected. Especially if you sit there and you talk right in their face, yeah, you're gonna probably get it.
I guess I'm not talking about closing off walking through the park, I'm talking about closing off the playground area, the swing sets where you're hanging on to them and then.
I don't know, I could put signs up. I was talking about doing that with Todd and Nick, but just put signs that can't stop people because there's no fences or anything. But we can put signs up telling the parents, unless it's a smart kid, they can read it then, not to probably do it.
Again, quarantines only work if everybody tries. If you just send your kids out to get infected by a group of 30 of them at the park, there's no sense shutting the schools down and just roll it and run. I mean,
I guess, Raymond, I haven't seen, I mean, I've been to J.C. Park twice a day, every single day this week, and I have not seen that.
maybe they got lookouts when they see you coming. I'll take
I don't think it's gonna shut
Well, I drive past there several times a day, just going when I see it, so, I mean, it's not.
This isn't a unique situation. The mayor of New York City was all bent out of shape the other day too because he drove to work and he saw folks out there playing basketball, full teams. He says, I don't know how else to say this, make it clear, stay home.
Right, well, but that's what I mean, though, you know, quarantines only work if everybody does it.
That's correct.
If you got, for instance, say if I get infected and I run around, talk to every one of you guys, go down there and talk to, what good does the quarantine do?
Didn't do good.
New York City is a different density.
Yes,
And so
very
the
much.
issues are very, very different there.
That is entirely correct. Like I say, it's good to be out in the boondocks. Anyway, I'll call for the question.
Any other? Okay, question's been called for to approve the emergency resolution of the City Council of the City of Dillon enacting measures to reduce the spread of the 2019 novel coronavirus, COVID-19 virus. All those in favor say aye.
What?
I thought I asked that we consider taking out anything that has to do with creating, sending people to other places for an open meeting. And I think Mr. Dillon said, yeah, all of that is, none of this is true. None of this makes an open meeting.
Well, I didn't say
No.
that, I said that it may not.
It may not.
I don't know the answer to that. The way that sentence, I mean, this is really intended to walk a fine line between, I mean, I guess, the known knowns, to borrow from Donald Rumsfeld. You know, what we know is that, you know, we have a right to participate and observe, but we also know that we have a health department that says you can't have more than 5 people in a room. You have to maintain a 6-foot distance. So balancing your right to observe a public meeting versus your right to, or I guess your duty, I suppose, to try to keep yourself safe, keep everybody safe, is a fine line. I mean, I guess an example of that, I drafted that disclaimer for the notice for this meeting. And I didn't say don't show up. I said if you do, I'd like you to consider maybe it might not be a good idea if you did. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying if you do it, just think about that.
Plus, we're not saying that they can't come.
Right.
Exactly.
It's just if too many come, we can
You're gonna move
we make a
someplace else.
decision, we either move somewhere else, that we can spread everything out further, or just not have the meeting. To say we went over the limit and have it be an open meeting, we really have to allow everybody in, so we're gonna close the meeting. Close in the sense that we're not gonna have one.
Or move outside to the parking lot.
Or move outside the parking lot, or something like that. Plus, I'm really gonna try to limit the meetings, like the next meeting, it's just gonna have the emergency stuff on there, or stuff that's raises to the standard, mainly right now is finance, pay the bills. Right now, that's all I have, because everybody else is okay to wait that I talk to. So there is no time item except pay the bills to keep it going.
And I
You know,
think-
so it's gonna be a short meeting again, this, not shorter than this one probably, but.
I mean, I think section 4 is written in a manner to just simply give a defense if somebody was to decide that their rights to observe and participate in an open meeting were violated, and they thought that was a good cause of action in the time of the national state health crisis. I think this is really kind of the aw shucks defense. You know, gee, Judge, we did the best we could given the circumstances and given what we had to work with. I mean, that's what I'm saying. We're in the weeds on this one, folks. So.
I mean, right now, like I said, we were over the limit, but you gotta do business.
You gotta
So
do
here we are
business.
stuck right now. You know, then we know you can't have too many people in, so we're stuck right there by allowing anybody in to watch it. So this is why we're trying to, you know, please consider everybody. You guys did not sign up as a death warrant to have a hearing, to have a meeting, just let everybody get infected because somebody comes in here, nobody knows, and they go around shaking hands or whatever at the end. I mean, that's not right either to do. I mean, so we are not the only ones. Everybody in this state's nervous, especially because of the way the law is written.
I think everything after, starting on section 4, and it starts if occupancy at any meeting, and then through the end of that. But that's.
Well, I don't have a problem taking that one line off. If occupancy at any meeting is greater, but then until it hits the second or the next sentence. Because I don't see anything wrong with, the public is encouraged to submit written comments. That's not saying they have to.
Rather than physically attend meetings. Oh, I think that's.
No, we're encouraging them. We're not saying they have to. They still can come.
Basically, you've got a conflict between the open meeting law and a crisis.
A public health crisis.
Right. So I don't know which one has the biggest club.
I mean, if it would help, maybe some sort of a variation of what I put together for the disclaimer for this meeting, maybe that last sentence that says, the city of Dillon respects the public's right to attend public meetings and highly recommends that members of the public take health risks into account when considering whether to personally attend. I don't, that's about the best I can do, folks, at the time.
Yeah.
So we get rid of the if occupancy to the
And I
end.
don't know what's wrong with that. If we're saying if too many people come, we'll make whatever we need to do to accommodate you in another building so you can come to the meeting. I kinda like what it says there.
But we're going to cancel the meeting, we get too many people.
Right.
But we're breaking the rules too.
Well, no.
Can't have over 5.
Right, but if we have to, if more people come, we will move to a building where we could accommodate 6 foot.
Well, we're not supposed to. That's breaking the rules. But, oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
Mr. Manager, if you had said the city of Dillon kick that over to the state health department, to the county health department, to the federal government, you might be taking away the notion that you're trying to keep people away from meetings as the city.
I like your sentence from page 1.
And that can change in 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I'm just trying to do the best I can.
Let's replace, if you guys don't have a problem, replace the city of Dillon respect from the agenda or right below it. And replace if the occupancy down to the mayor is authorized. Replace that with that.
Say it again now.
On the agenda sheet, under the please note, it says about in the middle of the second paragraph, the city of Dillon respects the public's rights to attend, all the way to the end.
Okay, put that
And
in.
go into the section 4, right where it says if occupancy of any, or at any meeting is greater, take rid of that all the way down to where it says the mayor is authorized, the last line.
How about just taking out the first sentence? That makes the most sense. Leaving the public is encouraged to submit written comments.
Oh, so just get rid of that one line
Yeah.
and put that in there?
Mhm.
Okay. Let's do that. Is that acceptable?
Sure.
So we need to make that a motion and restart.
What is
Make that a motion to be officially recommended.
Okay.
Matt?
purposes for the minutes, we are only taking out if occupancy down to
The
rotating
public
banner.
is, no, the public is encouraged, that's what he's,
Right.
Okay.
that's what
Are
he's
we
gonna
still
make the,
That's
doing
correct,
this
Stacy.
for the front page to that?
yes.
Okay.
So we're taking that line out of occupancy at any meeting, get rid of that line, or that sentence, lines onto the word sentence, and replace it with the city Dillon respects the public's right. Put that in there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I would move that.
Is there a second to amend?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Rain, second by Matt. Any further discussion on the amendment?
And now I'll call for the question.
Questions been called for to amend the first motion to remove the sentence in section 4 of if occupancy, that sentence down to the public is encouraged, keep that in, so that one sentence is removed and replace that with the one from the agenda, the city of Dillon respects the public's right to attend, down to the end of that paragraph. That will go in there. And then, so all those in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Take that as unanimous. Any other discussion on the original motion as amended?
Just a quick comment on that is just let's remember this is a policy statement of the city. So that, in other words, this is a resolution. So that can change. We could get an edict next week and replace it. So it's designed to be flexible.
It's very fluid.
Any other discussion on it? Okay, I'm taking that as a no, as a call for a question. So, question we call for to approve the emergency resolution of the City Council of the City of Dillon, Montana, enacting measures to reduce spread of the 2019 novel coronavirus COVID-19 virus as amended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. We take that as unanimous. I will sign it and get it out, put it on our webpage so everybody can see. We'll go down next item. Public comment on items of significant public interest not on the agenda within the jurisdiction of the city.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes?
looking at the comments on Facebook from the live feed, people do have concerns about closing the parks, so can you clarify that? One person commented that in Billings they have closed parks and playgrounds, so can you state for the record what the decision is going to be on parks and playgrounds? So,
We're going to put a sign up asking them not to.
but you're not going to tell them they can't just kind of play at your own risk?
Well, we'll have that in the sign that you're playing at your own risk on
Okay.
that.
Is it possible to get the street crew to go down and knock the tops off those frost heaves down by the ambulance barn to make it easier for the ambulances to get in and out? I realize that they're gonna go down, we're gonna have potholes, we gotta fill again afterwards, but they're pretty enthusiastic.
I'm not infectious, don't worry. I've had that, if you remember 5 meetings ago.
I'm still doing
Before
that.
anybody coming into the state. Yeah, we've been wondering what we're gonna do with the potholes, or not, they're not potholes, the frost heaves. They're breaking up pretty good. Can't really do anything with them right now because it's still frozen underneath, or most of it still is. It's unthawing, and parts unthaw faster than others, so now everything starts breaking up. But we will go down and probably scrape off and try to smooth it out.
I think that'd help quite a bit.
We are gonna dig those up this summer and repair them.
If it wasn't right in front of the ambulance barn, I don't think it'd be such a important
That's a
thing to
bad
do.
one, and then just one more street over.
Well, there's the two of them on each end of that block, yes.
Yeah. And as far as we know, there's 3 right now, way better than last year. Last year with the 21 or 22, I like 3 better. Don't like any, but I like 3 better than 22.
Shows a nice improvement.
Yes. Any other public comment?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved by Don, seconded by Dan to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. I take that as unanimous. Meeting adjourned.
Hey, Mike, what's with all the cardboard on your lawn?
Quackgrass. It's not an invasive weed, it's a science fiction monster. Quackgrass.
I thought maybe the cardboard was. Are you trying to kill the lawn so you can restart it or something?
Yes,
Oh,
and
okay.
as bad as the quackgrass is, the matrimony vine is worse. Whoever named the matrimony vine must have had a hell of a bad marriage.
Yes.